Dear respected colleagues, as we were discussing, and I think this is 8:11 p.m. Bangladesh Standard Time, and we have finished in the first session till page number point number 1.2.9. Now we start discussing about how the phases are organized. So we learned that there are 5 phases in project DPro phase model. So the phases are project identification and definition, project setup, planning and implementation, and closure. So now how these phases are organized, we need to understand that, and I am starting reading from the text word by word. I hope that it will help you to navigate through the texts of the DPro guide. So now 1.2.10, how the phases are organized. We will go through each of the project DPro phases in detail, highlighting the tools and processes to achieve the output for each phase. The format of each phase is introduction, highlights the importance of the phase and provides a general overview of the key components to consider during this phase. So the phases will be discussed in detail. So in this portion, it's explained that the structure of the lessons. Key output for each phase, there is a specific output that should be produced based upon the tools and processes highlighted. What does this mean in practice? Summarizes the linkage from the previous phase to the current phase and incorporates any additional considerations you need to make during the phase. Inputs outlines all of the documents and tools that will be helpful in completing the processes for the phase. Defines, provides examples of all the processes and tools to achieve the phase output. Additionally, we have provided, okay. So for all of us who will be sitting for the project DPro certification, so we need to read it. So there are some stories and many case studies for all of us to understand the each steps of the. Now, finally, congratulations to all of my colleagues who are taking part in this study circle. We have finished section 1. Now we will be starting with section 2. Now section 2, project DPro phases. The first phase is project identification and definition. And in this chapter, you will see identifying and defining the needs, types of data and data collection, ratios for categories of social needs, stakeholder identification and analysis using the Venn diagram, problem and objective trees, current state and future state analysis, the logical framework. So there's a famous saying of Stephen Covey, all things are created twice, first mentally, then physically. The key to creativity is to begin with the end in mind, with a vision and a blueprint of the desired result. Stephen Covey. Point 2.1.1 introduction. So at the very beginning of the discussion, there is the diagram we have discussed already. Let me tell again. There are 5 phases in Project DPro phase model: identification, definition, setup, planning, implementation, and closure. There are the decision gates after each phase, and we have to decide either we'll go ahead or not. Then through these 5 cycles, we have to make sure that vertically we are monitoring, evaluating, ensuring accountability, and learning from each phase. And horizontally, in each phase, in each activity, in each action, in each movement, we have to be time bound, we have to be cost effective, we have to be appropriately scoped, we have to be accountable, well governed, risk aware, and adaptive. All projects begin as an idea, a need, or opportunity that is assessed, analyzed, ultimately developed into a project which is managed through a project lifecycle. It is during this process that we begin answering the critical question, are we doing the right project? I'm sorry, let me check the I hope that you could see the screen. I'm not sure. Let me check again. Okay. And get it wrong here, the project will be wrong for a long time. Even if all of the work of the project is planned and implemented well, get it right and you may be halfway there. In many sectors that rely on a culture of project management, the project begins with the official approval of the project. This is usually not the case in the development and humanitarian sectors. There are a multitude of scenarios that could exist, and likely the project life will begin with a project identification and definition phase. Before that, let us understand the yellow box first, project versus intervention. These terms are used interchangeably in the guide. A project is an intervention. Activities that are conducted to intervene in situation or context. So you will see that, excuse me, the term project and intervention is being used interchangeably in this guide. During the project identification and definition phase, time, resources, and effort are invested to define needs, explore opportunities, analyze the project environment, cultivate relationships, build trust, develop partnerships, and define the high-level framework for the intervention. The decisions made during the project identification and definition phase connect to existing strategies, organizational, programmatic, sectoral, national, etc., and determine the overall framework within which the project will subsequently evolve. One of the reasons of the project identification and definition phase is of such great importance is because it provides the most effective opportunity to answer fundamental questions about the project parameters. As a project team, you will collectively begin to build the foundation of your project through various processes, with the final outputs being the project logical frame and a high-level project charter. As illustrated in figure 15, the easiest time to make changes to a project is at the beginning. If a project team wants to change the objectives, the schedule, or the budget, it is easier to do this before the project is underway, spending money, using up the schedule, and investing resources to complete its work. As the project moves forward, there will be other opportunities to revisit questions of scope, quality, budget, resources, time, or calendar. However, once project implementation begins, staff are hired, activities begin, budgets are allocated, and deliverables starts to become tangible, the cost of changing these project parameters increases, and these changes become much harder to manage. Therefore, it is important that the project manager use data collected to inform these decisions during the project identification and definition phase, and that the general approach to this phase is one of that is open to creative exploration, brainstorming, visioning, and debating of strategy. So let me make it a bit smaller, the page, so that you can see the diagram. Okay, I hope you can see the diagram now. Now, the vertical column is cost and staffing level. The horizontal column is identification, the phases, the project phases. Now, you see, in identification phase, we can bring changes. And opportunity cost to cost effectively manage change is higher. Means as okay, in identification, I'm sorry, I am facing some technical issues. Let me check. Okay, now let's see. In identification and definition phase, if we bring any change in the project, we have a lot of opportunities. So the yellow curve is the opportunity. So we have opportunities and it will cost less because our staffing and cost level is not much. So we have opportunity to bring change in terms of cost, in terms of staffing, in terms of everything. But when the project phases are evolved, if we bring change, project expenses will rise, and our opportunity to bring change is lessening, is reducing. Okay, so the key outputs of this phase means project identification and definition phase. Okay, let me read. Let me make the page bigger for you so that you can see. Stakeholder analysis. Stakeholder management can make a break or project, can make or break a project. However, it is really difficult to manage and engage stakeholders if you haven't taken the time to I'm sorry, I have a phone call.